Aha, it's working. Good. Hey, everybody. I know nobody's really awake when I'm doing this. This is like it's 9 o'clock Pacific time on a Friday night. I don't necessarily expect there to be a lot of people in the chat, but maybe. You never know. Anyway, I was just in the mood for drawing. I need to record a comic tropes episode later tonight. That's my main show. And I just needed to relax for a little before I did it. Don't know if that makes much sense or not. But anyway, I just decided I was in the mood to draw. So I am going to take a stab at, well, I've sort of already started taking a stab at drawing all the various doctors from Doctor Who. And I'm going to ink it up and see how it comes out. I definitely was like, oh, should I do this? Because the last time I streamed, it was also Doctor Who. But you know what? It's just what I'm in the mood to draw, so that's just how it is. Let's see, hold on. It looks like somebody actually joined the chat. Oh, wow. Hey, Mike, and hello, Keith. Did not necessarily expect anybody to pop in tonight. Nice to see both of you. So, yeah, nothing too exciting tonight. I just was in the mood to draw, so I figured I might as well live stream. I'm drawing the doctors from Doctor Who, so I know the last time I also drew Doctor Who, but it's just what I'm in the mood to draw. So if I'm in the mood, I try not to stop myself. I hope you're both doing well. Appreciate all the support you gave me during Inktober. That was much appreciated. I've been trying to think of like what I want to draw in general, like what kind of ongoing project I could have, and I don't really have a good idea yet. So I'm just sort of sketching when I feel like it. Hello, Willie. Thank you, San Diego. Very cool. Oh, thank you very much for the compliment. I really appreciate that. Man, I love San Diego. I haven't been in a long time, but I would love to visit there again. Keith is watching Punisher, and Mike says he's watching Hey Arnold, which I believe is a cartoon, right? Um, yeah, I've seen the pilot episode of Punisher, and I liked it. It's pretty good. I feel like it's going to be a tough time culturally for Punisher to come out. I think it'll do very well. I have no doubt that it'll do very well, but not quite necessarily as big as it could have been in, say, the something. But that's actually what my episode of Comic Tropes this weekend will be about. I talk a little bit about the Punisher. And if you're one of my patrons on Patreon, you already have access to it. So every once in a while, I finish an episode up early, and so I put it up for patrons. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the kind words. Let's see. Having a kid gave me an excuse to watch cartoons I shouldn't really be interested in anymore. Looks like I'm having trouble with my stream health. Hold on. That's frustrating. Huh. Wow, I don't know what's wrong with my stream. It's not doing well at all. I'll be right back. I think that there might be something streaming in my house that's affecting things. So give me a moment, and I'll be back. Sorry. All right, I'm back. Looks like I'm just having a really bad signal. You know what? All right, Stream Health says it's good right now. Um, I'm concerned that, like, my cable company, my internet company, I worry that they choke my bandwidth here and there in the evenings. I'm not sure. I haven't really clocked it, but I need to do that. Um, so I'm sorry that things were buffering. Hopefully, it improves moving forward. All right. Willie says he binged on my stuff this weekend. Thank you for the support. Uh, Doc Reasonable, that is a good question. I would say Doctors Who, if I had Doctors Whom, says Miles Durkee. Karen, thank you very much for the compliment. Uh, Willie, I have 4 cats, so the trick is just find an area where you can shut them out. That's the trick, I think. Uh, in fact, I break them up into 2 and 2 so that, like, they can't really sort of bother one another and so on. I keep 2 of them upstairs and 2 of them downstairs. So. Yeah, it's a lot of cats. I had 2 and my fiance had 2, so we became a 4-cat house. Let's see. Mike says that'd be a good SNL skit that show the doctors, but call it Doctors Who, and it's the different incarnations of the doctor giving shitty faux medical advice. Karen says that she's playing games on Drawception. I say that counts as drawings. I agree. I don't know Drawception, but I have played various drawing games before, so I'll look that one up. But that definitely counts as drawing. Like, you're trying to communicate things to people. You're trying to work fast. Like, even if it's not an elaborate, beautiful drawing, it's flexing those same skills. So I think that counts. Hey, AT. Hello, Slyfly guy. Wow. All right. It says that there's 12 people in here. I thought I'd get 1 or 2. I just, no announcement. I just was in the mood to draw. So I decided I might as well live stream. But I really didn't expect a bunch of people. So that's great. That's awesome. What kind of creative projects are you all up to? I know some of you draw. I know some of you work on other types of things, and some of you are like just super busy with work and kids, etc. But I feel like everybody needs a creative outlet, like no matter what, and it doesn't have to be drawing or writing per se. But I think the like when you have a creative outlet like cooking or gardening, whatever it may be, blogging, uh, that it benefits you like mentally, like it gives you that sort of like break from everything else, and creating, the art of creating. I just feel like that makes us as humans feel better. All right, getting a little philosophical. Hope you'll forgive me. Let's see. Some questions here. Sigmigs, hello. Have you ever tried the Jack Party Box games? I'm not sure. Is one of them? There's a PlayStation 4 game that my friend recently had me get, and I want to say it's something like That's You. Does that count? Is that a Jack Party Box game? I'm not sure. Shrish Shebang asks, which characters are these? These are all the doctors from Doctor Who, from the most recent to the original. Just, you know what? I just felt like drawing them, but I also, this is going to sound weird, I felt like drawing noses in profile, practicing slight variations on noses. So that's just what I'm doing. Let's see. Oh, Sly Fly Guy says he's working on an indie comic. Very cool. Always love hearing about that. Sigmigs is working on math and science classes. That's life, isn't it? Sometimes you've got no choice, you know. But whenever you can carve out a little bit of time for yourself, I think it does the psyche good. Karen says she wishes to make her own web comic, but never find the time to start. I already have the rough story and some elaborate character designs. That is the trick, figuring out how to schedule your time. I agree. Or sort of motivating yourself just to get going. All I can say that I've learned, and it's not like, I'm some big professional of anything, but I would say that getting started is more important than getting it perfect. Don't be a perfectionist when you're drawing or when you're writing. Be willing to revise, as in sketch out thumbnails, have various stages where you improve the artwork. When you're writing, be willing to revise a draft, as in just sit down and bang out the entire thing. Like, say you're writing a script, is what I'm saying. Write the entire thing from beginning to end. Leave in the mistakes. It doesn't matter. You will be able to vastly improve on having your whole thing done. Just my opinion. Keith is working on inking. Awesome. Mike says he's been sketching more lately. That's so great to hear. Makes me think of the party game You Don't Know Jack. That was an awesome party game. I don't know that one. Willie says, I'm working on a sample-based 90s hip-hop EP. Hard to stay focused with day-to-day life. I'm sure it is, but like I was just saying, just do it. Just do a version. It's not going to be perfect. Just do it. You'll be able to improve it. Miles says, I've become his favorite comics channel. Wow. That's really nice to hear. I appreciate the support. I agree, Karen. Like, starting anything is absolutely the hardest part. It's not even coming up with ideas. People are like, oh, where do you get ideas? Creative people always have ideas. It's just that, like, you're like, but do I have it, like, all figured out, like, how it's going to work? Honestly, you probably won't. But here's the thing. You do a version, and you'll sometimes realize that you have to cut, like, one of your favorite parts that you've created to make the whole piece work better. But you're not going to know that unless you take the time to put out a draft. So I would just say that, like, if you can force yourself to just sit down, just block out the time and go, you know what? It's not going to be perfect. I'm okay with that. If you just force yourself to sit down and do it, I promise it'll come out better than you fear. It'll come out better than you think. Might not be as awesome as you hope, but that's what revisions are for. And it's easier to revise something. So that's just my 2 cents. Have you given your thoughts about Bendis leaving Marvel or the new Marvel editor-in-chief? That comes from Slime Beharit. I don't have a strong opinion about Brian Michael Bendis leaving Marvel. Honestly, I wish he'd just go back to doing some more creator-owned stuff. I think that his passion shone through and that he was quite good at writing crime stories and slightly more realistic stories. I don't think it's going to hurt Marvel at this point. I really feel like he said almost everything he has to say with the characters at Marvel. So, I think it's fine. I think it's good for DC and it's good for Marvel. Is it good for Brian Michael Bendis himself? No, I'd say he should do more creator-owned stuff. As far as CB Cebulski becoming now the editor-in-chief at Marvel, I'm very happy with that. I think that Axel Alonso has had plenty of good ideas over the years. I have heard CB Cebulski speak several times. I think he's passionate about comics. I think he knows what works for Marvel. I really do. And I think it's probably going to be good. You need those changes from time to time, that's for sure. You need like fresh blood in those big two publishers. So I think that that's kind of cool. I'm excited to see what CB Cebulski does. I think, yeah, overall, I'm more excited about that one. Oops, I missed some questions. Let's see. Doc says, I'm just drawing away on the iPad Pro here. Then your live stream message came up. It's after 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon here in Australia. Doc, I don't think I realized that you were from Australia. Maybe we did talk about that once. I do remember once talking about how much I loved Australia on the live stream. So maybe we did talk about it. It had slipped my mind. Yeah. My fiance very much would like to get an iPad Pro to sort of draw and digitally paint on. So that might happen. We'll see. She's pretty into the idea. What do you think of your iPad Pro? Do you like it? Shrish Shubang says, are you a professional comic book artist? I would say no, but I do just enough professional illustration work to get a pro badge when I go to a big convention like New York Comic Con or Emerald City Comic Con. So it's sort of like technically yes, but it's not how I pay the bills. I don't draw that regularly. I tend to I work freelance. I've got a full-time real job in marketing usually, and I'll accept jobs here and there that I think I'm appropriate for, but they're more like I've done a lot of educational comics and stuff, not stuff at Marvel and DC. Is the Doctor Who on the far right the one from the 40s serials? Doctor Who actually started in the 60s, and yes, this guy is the first Doctor, and then it goes all the way up to the 13th, and if you count them up, there are actually 14 because all sorts of reasons. Wait, are there 14? No, there's not. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14, but this guy, the rest of them don't count because he was a warrior. The Doctor regenerates when his life ends. He gets sort of a new face, a new personality, but all his memories are intact. And one time he came back and fought in a war, and so the rest of them don't really count that. The rest of them sort of call themselves by their numbers when they meet with each other or meet with former companions. Saying that out loud sounds a little silly, but it's kind of what I love about it. So I'm doing this with a brush pen, the outline, and then I'm about to sort of do some facial details and stuff, and I'm going to switch to a smaller technical pen. The provides a pretty straight, even line, you might say. Questions. I saw a copy of Trickster at Half Price Books. Wanted to get it, but the next time I went there, it's gone. You worked on it, right? I did. I illustrated a story in there about the Wampanoag tribe that lives off the coast of Massachusetts, which is actually where I grew up. So it was very fun for me to be able to illustrate an area that I grew up in and a tribe that I knew a little about just from having grown up in Massachusetts. So yeah, that was really fun for me. Chris, can you recommend any good sites, YouTube channels, or books for drawing? I've been looking at a lot of Jim Lee's channel and a channel called Proco, but I'm looking for more stuff. I'm thinking, Mike. I don't personally look at any real art YouTube channels right now. My fiance does, so she'd probably have recommendations. YouTube, I don't know. Books. What kind of books? I feel like maybe I've got some reference books in this art room. Oh, they're in the other section of the room. Let me think about it, Mike. Let me come back to that. You have the Marvel. Hey, everyone seems to recommend that. I've had it for years. No, you know what actually is really good is Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. I think that's a pretty good way to understand how comics actually work. I think that there's just a graphic that Alex Toth created, or Toth, I don't know how you pronounce that. It's called 22 Panels That Always Work by Alex Toth, T-O-T-H. Look that up. That's pretty good. But both of those are definitely more about drawing for comics, panel to panel type stuff. In terms of like anatomy books, there's so many out there, but I personally think that life drawing classes help a little bit more than a book. I would say look up to see if you're in your area. They have either Drink and Draw or Dr. Sketchies. Those are like pretty good social places to go and be able to draw from life. I would say that those are two good things to look at. Hey, Michael. Thank you for joining. Michael Wisman's here. Which streaming app service do you use? OBS. I use the latest OBS. Hello, Milosh. Let's see. Miles Durkee says, didn't Doctor Who start as a children's educational show where travel to the future was for science education and to the past was for history lessons? Yep, that's exactly right. Karen recommends Proco. I guess that might be a channel. Okay. Here are Chrissy is my fiance, and she just joined. She says, Sikra and Proco are fantastic drawing YouTubers. So there you go. Let's see. Miles Durkee says, love Scott's books. Couldn't recommend them more. Yes, Scott McCloud really has some fantastic books for understanding how comics work. I think that they're really strong. They hold up. Look at that. Everybody came together to help out Mike. I love it. Let's see. Willie Gut says, I took life drawing. It is not college girls posing, student volunteers of every age and gender. I think that's what you need, though. You need all sorts of different body types and stuff, and ages and gender, and yeah. So that's helpful. Karen recommends Istabrock on YouTube for a drawing channel. A lot of people talk about understanding comics, but I find that many comics artists don't seem to follow rules explored in that book. Well, that's a good point, Slime. I would say that rules are made to be broken, but you need to understand the rules before you can break them. Like if you're breaking every panel border with a character, like, in an action pose, that's going to create for a chaotic drawing. That's just one example of, like, there's a rule there for a reason, and when you understand the rules, then you can start breaking them. Hope that makes sense. There's a hilarious segment on Impractical Jokers where one of them has to be a nude model and has to do whatever pose the others say. That's from Sigmix. I'm not familiar with Practical Jokers. Is that a TV show or a YouTube channel? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. Sounds sort of like a TV show. Hello, TARDIS Rider. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate that. Oh, it's a candid camera show. I like that sometimes when the ideas behind them are good. I'll have to look for it. Are you familiar with the Captain Midnight channel? Asks Keith. I'm not. What's that? I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna zoom in actually because I think it'll look better. Candid camera show. That would be fun. The iPad Pro is a dream to work on. Inking especially is just so smooth and easy to do. I'm using the Procreate app, which is incredible, but now Clip Studio is available, so I may go to that. Okay. Chrissy, you hear that? Doc Reasonable seems like he's given a pretty strong recommendation for that iPad Pro you've been thinking about. Let's see. It's pretty funny and not as staged as other shows in the same vein. Oh, he's talking about Impractical Jokers, though of course it still is. That's just the nature of the beast. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see. I'm trying to follow the thread here. Miles Durkee says, in-depth movie rumor channel. Is that Captain Midnight? I'm trying to follow the thread. If it's about Captain Midnight, I'm not familiar with that channel. But if it's two separate things, clear that up for me. Let's see. Keith Thomas says, saw an episode titled The Dark Days of Marvel and DC. Very informative. That does sound interesting. I'm not sure what that is, but I would probably want to watch it. Oh, never mind. That is Midnight's Edge I'm thinking of. Ignore the last comment. Oh, okay. No worries. Let's see. Mike says, I see guys like Lee and McFarlane using those touch screens and programs, and I want to check them out, but I can imagine they're professional level expensive, and I'm poor AF. Maybe. My pal Chuck that lives down the street is professional artist, and he has some amazing equipment, like Wacom's that like show you what you're drawing on the actual Wacom, and he's got various touch screen devices. It's always makes me a little jealous. He's got good equipment because he can write off a bunch of it on his taxes because that's what he does. He has really good equipment. The Cintiq is very expensive, but I reckon the iPad Pro is better. Wow. Have you used both, Doc? Anybody else go see Justice League yet? I saw it last night. I won't say any spoilers, but I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't like as good as something like Thor Ragnarok, but I was surprised. I went because I've got Movie Pass, so it doesn't really cost anything to go to movies. But I didn't have high hopes, and it surprised me. I thought it was actually quite a bit of fun. Karen says, I have a $70 bamboo tablet, the smallest and cheapest, but the tool doesn't make the artist. I used to have one of those, Karen, but that was a long time ago. That's, and you know what, you're right. Like, if you've got the patience, you can produce a great result with that tool. So, it just speeds things up, I think, the fancier equipment you have. Yeah, I would say it just speeds things up. I've tried out the Cintiq and it's really good, but I prefer the iPad Pro because it takes up less room and it's portable. I can go to the beach and use it. That's from Doc. All right. Good to know. Good to know. This pen has had it. Do I have a better one? It's just this. I'm not an Apple guy. There's got to be a better way. We all have our preferences. I heard the Flash was annoying instead of funny, and Ezra Miller took way too many liberties with the character. I think I'd agree. Let me just say this. I far prefer the TV version of the Flash, both the look and the characterization. That's just my 2 cents. But I don't want to get into like spoiler territory about anything that happens in the movie. I was just saying that I was kind of surprised by it. I ended up kind of having a good time. So Wasn't really super hopeful, but it was good. Wasn't great. Oh my god, the CG in it. There's some very bad CG, and you're like, this is a big budget movie. But I had a good time despite these things. How would you rank the DCEU movies? Let's see, there's been only like 4, right? No, 5? Let's see. Well, Wonder Woman definitely would go at the top. I would definitely put Wonder Woman at the top. Then I'd say Justice League. Then Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Batman versus Superman. I think that's how I'd probably rank it. I don't have a Drawception account, Karen. It does sound interesting. Mike says, I heard MoviePass is going under. Is there any truth to that? I don't know. They just actually offered a new deal that's $10 less a year. So I would think that they're doing okay for now. I don't know how it can work long term, but for now I'm getting my money's worth. You're right about the increase. I missed a bunch of stuff here. I'm sorry. Look at all this. I can't keep up. Hulk versus Thor asks, what did you think of Ragnarok? I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Well, it was at least it was funny and it was fun. Yeah. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a morning after. I don't know what that means. AT, sorry. Doc says that yeah, productivity increases the more expensive equipment you get. So yeah, it just speeds everything up. Let's see. Milosh says, I heard that too, but from the trailers, I expected Flash to be better. The trailers made him look a little more funny, but personally, I kind of ended up finding Flash a little on the annoying side when I saw the movie. And I'll just, yeah, I guess I don't want to get into any spoilery territory. I just didn't ultimately care for their take on it that much. It wasn't enough to like totally annoy me and take me out of the movie, but I was just like, I don't know. Wasn't for me. He's definitely there for comic relief. He isn't a CSI in the movie, AT, if that helps. Spoiler alert, but at the very end, all those people's names, they all worked on Ryobi. I don't know what Ryobi is. I do want to watch Justice League for myself before I can make judgment. That was what I felt too. No, Karen, I haven't seen Coco yet, but that does look really good. That's one I'm excited for. I hope it's good. I need to draw more. Fascinated with all these questions. I walked out of Batman versus Superman after Superman blew up Congress. I wasn't going to support WB making Superman a terrorist any further. Well, they do a 180 on Superman. They got the message that people did not care for how Superman was portrayed in the last movie. That Superman is way, way, way closer to however you've ever seen him portrayed in comic books. And I don't feel like that's a spoiler because Superman is on like every bit of marketing that the Justice League movie has out there. Milos says, I just have to ask one thing. Aquaman, is he good? He's really good. He's really good. Like, after you see this movie, you're like, all right, Jason Momoa as Aquaman could probably carry a movie. That's a cool take on the character. They did a good job with a lot of the characters. That's why I like the movie. There's a lot of cliche stuff in it. There's a lot of bad CG. The villain is boring. They mostly get all of the characters right, and that's why it's fun. They just get the characters right. Yeah. Which one is better, animated DC movie or live action? Probably the animated stuff. Miles is acting as totally shocked that Superman is probably in the Justice League movie. I know. They did such a good job of making you wonder if he'll ever come back. I thought they handled it pretty well. Mulish says, I was going to see Batman versus Superman, and from the trailers, I thought it was going to be bad. But last couple of days, I got on the hype train, and by some miracle, I broke my leg the day of the premiere, and I was spared. That's good. Doc says he didn't bother to see Batman versus Superman. Mike is like on the fence basically. Says he didn't hate Batman versus Superman, didn't love it. I did not like it. Yeah, Karen says I didn't like that Lex. Too young. He was like playing it like the Riddler or the Joker or something. Ugh. Yeah, Mike says the same. Lex is awful, and I like Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg's a good actor sometimes. He had a terrible take on that character. But, nah, I won't go into it. I will say that if you go see Justice League, stay. There's two credit scenes. There's one in the middle. There's one at the very end. They're both pretty darn good. The one at the very end was very fun. Sigmund says, I saw the extended Batman versus Superman first, and it's incredible how many vital scenes were cut. I'll never know. I will never know. never know. Mike says it was bad. He was playing the exact opposite of Lex. You can take liberties with some characters, but not ones as vital to the mythology as Lex God dang Luthor. Uh, yeah, I agree. He could be a mad scientist. He could be a businessman, but he's pretty calm and collected. Not a total like ADD. I'm out of my Adderall weirdo. What a strange take for the character, and why did everybody let him do that? Oh well, what's done is done. Um, Anyone going on any trips or maybe going somewhere for the holidays to see anyone? I think Thanksgiving I'm gonna be staying local, but I think we'll host my fiance's family for Thanksgiving. I like doing that. I like hosting. Um, I like Thanksgiving food. For Christmas time, I think I'm going to go visit my family back on the East Coast. So that'll be nice. I haven't been back in quite a while due to all sorts of reasons, and I miss them. So it'll be really nice. But yeah, beyond that, I'm not sure. I'm trying if I can find myself a really good job in the next couple months. We might go back to Hong Kong and Japan in early 2018. That would really be nice. I would love to do that. Yeah, all sorts of people are talking about problems with Batman versus Superman. Guys, we could talk about it for hours. For hours. It was all for the art. They believed in their artistic vision, says Karen, except the S's are dollar signs, so she might be being just a bit sarcastic. Yep, happy to respond to you, AT. Appreciate the support. I haven't mailed it out yet, but I think I might be able to tomorrow, so hopefully. Oh, Milos is taking a trip. Oh, going to Bosnia to visit my cousin's grave. That sounds pretty serious. Well, are you gonna get to see any other family out there? Um, I have no idea what Bosnia is like these days. You know, It- are there nice areas? Are you going anywhere nice? Or I would love to know more about that. I don't know anything about it. how is Affleck Batman in the new Justice League? He's pretty good. I would say that he's a pretty believable Batman. It's probably the only thing that I kind of liked about Batman versus Superman was I was surprised to. I thought that Ben Affleck was pretty good. But different people may have different mileage on that one. But I think he's actually pretty good. Let's see. Sigmix says, "Have you paid any attention to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 stuff?" A little. Definitely have a lot of friends that are way into those games, and it sounds like they're really upset about like the ideas for how microtransactions are like the way that the whole platform was being set up, at least initially. I hate microtransactions. Hate it. Just, just let me buy the game. Stop nickel and diming me for all sorts of extra content. Hate that stuff. But I guess as long as there are people out there that'll support it, it ain't going anywhere. Frustrates me. I've never bought into a microtransaction. I'll buy downloadable content like extra levels and things, but not like, I don't know, a different look for a character or a better weapon or anything like that. I just refuse. There's just no way. So I heard about that a bit. I have a limited budget for games right now, so I don't have that one. So I'm not as invested. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Great drawing as always. I like the McCoy facial expression. Gotta go. It's late on the East Coast. It's very late on the East Coast. Thank you, TARDIS Rider, for joining. Appreciate it. Something about this reminds me of that scene on the Death Note opening. Not quite sure what that is. Okay, Milo's just talking about Bosnia. 99% pretty nice, but Westerners think it's all ruins, kind of like Africa. Everyone only sees the worst parts. Yeah, I would say it's not really in the news or anything, so it's not something I'm regularly exposed to. I don't know what Serbia or Croatia or Bosnia or any of these areas look like. I'm not as familiar. Croatia, though, actually, my buddy got married a few months ago, and they went to Croatia for their honeymoon, and it looked gorgeous. I would like to visit that area. Let's see. I would have purchased Forza on Xbox, but I learned about the microtransactions, and that killed that purchase. I'll stick with Gran Turismo. That's AT, Software Agents Corp. I've been playing a lot of Space Invaders, actually. I want to make a video for the 40th anniversary next year. There was a Space Invaders game for, I can't remember. It was one of the Game Boys. I can't remember which one. It was so fun. It might have been like the first DS. Oh man, that thing was a blast. In Latin America, Bruce Wayne was renamed Bruno Diaz. It is only in the past 15 years, basically since the Nolan movies, that it's been changed back. I'm struggling to adjust. I never have heard about that. That's so funny. Bruno Diaz. Milos says Croatia is pretty great. All the Game of Thrones coast scenes are filmed there. Yes, I'm aware. I would love to see that. I would love to see that area. That's looks pretty. So some of these likenesses I'm happier with than others, which is probably only well, it's to be expected when you're drawing like 14 faces. I really like what I've done with this one. I hate tooting my own horn, but I like how this guy was played by John Hurt, legendary actor that we lost this year. He had such a distinguished face, just so lined with wrinkles, even when he was young. Even when he was young, he was old. He's one of those sort of character actors that always elevated whatever he was in. I will write a Batman story with a new villain named Bruno Diaz and continue to confuse you, says Mike. That's good. I am partial to handhelds. Love all my Nintendo handhelds. Yeah, I generally do too, but I lost my 3DS at some point. I've actually also lost my Nintendo Switch. So what does that tell you? I don't know. Like I love them. I don't know how I've misplaced this stuff. It'll turn up someday. It'll turn up. I gotta find my Switch. I really want to play Super Mario, but I just have no idea where I put my Switch. Ugh. Did you see the Peter Cushing Doctor Who movie, 1965? I think it is. He actually made two. Um, I have seen Doctor Who, and I want to say, is it Invasion of the Daleks, or maybe it's just Doctor Who and the Daleks? I've seen most of that one. I don't care for it that much, I gotta say. If Peter Cushing wasn't in it, it would be a total waste. Now I'm drawing Christopher Eccleston, and he's a pretty hard guy, so you got to give him like kind of more angular uh, pieces. You can't soften any of the lines. They've all got to be very very hard. He was a great doctor. I really wish we could have seen him in more than just a single season of the show. He was really good. He in the first half of his season, it's like they're still sort of trying to get up and running, like figure out like what kind of a show it's going to be and stuff. So he doesn't have a ton of great episodes, but the character was great. Yeah, that would have been nice to see him in a little bit more if he was up for it. Oh well. Which recent actor death was the saddest for you guys? Harry Dean Stanton had me sobbing. Wow. Yeah, Harry Dean Stanton was pretty sad, but he was also pretty old. So, I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little. I'd have to, we're coming towards the end of the year, so I'm trying to remember like who we lost towards the beginning of this year. It's hard to remember now. Miles Durkee has all the versions of the Nintendo DS. He's got the Lite, the XL, the new. Send me one. I don't have one. Send me one. The Daleks had really annoying voices in the Peter Cushing movie, says Doc. Yeah, yeah. Not that they ever have enjoyable voices. They're kind of always annoying, aren't they? All right, so now I'm drawing David Tennant and maybe the handsomest Doctor. So you gotta be very careful with which lines that I'm deciding to use, because too many and he'll look old. Got a pen sort of dying on me. Robin Williams and Harold Ramis, if those are recent. Those weren't this year, though. They were a couple of years ago. Mike says you can say that about any pre-Star Wars Cushing movie, sans the ones co-starring Christopher Lee. Okay, I was about to say, well, wait, like, aren't those Hammer horror movies pretty good? But you said except the ones that also have Christopher Lee. So there you go. David Tennant was great on Jessica Jones, wasn't he? I thought he was fantastic. Oh my God, he was like the scariest Marvel villain ever because of his abilities and just unchecked power. That was one of the best Marvel villains, which maybe isn't saying that much, because I would argue that like most of their villains can be kind of underdeveloped in the films. They're not all explored tremendously. There's definitely been better ones than others. Loki, Kingpin, and Kilgrave are like the best Marvel villains. And two of those are TV, so I don't know if that even counts. It depends on how you define it. They need a Marvel villain of that caliber in the movies. They do. And it's like just so frustrating sometimes, isn't it, that like the Netflix stuff can't cross over with, or not that it can't, it's just that it doesn't, and it really won't. Like, how great would it be to at least see Iron Fist on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Or even better, how about Daredevil popping up in the Spider-Man movie and letting us have, Phil Urich. Well, I guess Ben Urich is dead, but we could still have Phil Urich, his nephew, on Daredevil and Spider-Man. That would be pretty cool. I mean, how great would Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin be in a Spider-Man movie? I think that would be great. I don't know, maybe he funds some of the Sinister Six or something. Maybe he's not necessarily the main guy, but he's the guy behind the scenes. He's so good. Purple Man is Croatian in the comics. That's right. He was a spy from Europe. I remember that. That's right. Anyway, all right. Let me wrap this up. I know it's late and all. Having fun talking to all of you. That's all. But then if somebody tries to watch this later, they're just going to be like, this guy just stops drawing and just starts talking to everybody for massive stretches at a time. Kingpin was great. I told my brother flat out that when Kingpin shows up, get the boys out of the room. Yeah, he's great. The Netflix Daredevil cast would be great in the next Spidey movie. You know, it's the thing about what was I saying? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Yeah. Anyway, um, Kingpin is rock solid. Uh, And he really is technically a Spider-Man enemy at least as much as he is a Daredevil. I mean, he started in Spider-Man, so it would just be really nice to see that. You know what I would like? I would like to see more team up. I don't necessarily mean crossovers like Defenders and Avengers. I mean team ups. I would love to see a Spider-Man Daredevil movie. I think that could be interesting. I would love to see Luke Cage Iron Fist as a TV show, have the heroes for hire. I would like to see more of like two heroes and seeing them like, because how great are like, you know, a lot of buddy cop movies. There's so many good ones. You get two characters that are really interesting and have them bounce off of each other. That's interesting. So I feel like that could be a really good way to go at some point, and I just feel like it hasn't really been done, and it drives me nuts. It's what I want. How cold does Seattle get during autumn? I would say that it's low 50s to at the hottest, right? You know, like it would mid 30s to low 50s right now. Uh, so fairly cold, but not as cold as I grew up, you know, in the Boston area. I would say that that's a lot colder, so uh, manageable. All right. From now on, I'm going to try to answer questions, but also not stop drawing. I'm going to keep drawing. Too many breaks. Craven should be in a movie, says Miles Durkee. Yeah, yeah. Chameleon. That guy is so underutilized, but he has so much potential to traumatize people without even touching them. Yeah, I mean, Chameleon could be used very, very well, no question. Um, I guess the problem is that Chameleon traditionally doesn't have as much ambition. He isn't written to have as much ambition. He's slightly closer to just above a henchman. Um, so you'd need to like really flesh that out if he was going to be the main villain. But he is related to Craven, so maybe Craven and Chameleon team up to try to replace Spider-Man and keep people from noticing. I think that would be interesting, seeing Chameleon try to be Peter Parker and Craven try to be Spider-Man. Death of Craven story arc, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's something that would work better on TV than in a single movie. But I really liked the Death of Craven story arc. That was one of the first Spider-Man comics I ever read, and I always thought it was pretty darn cool. It's dark though. It's darker than most Spider-Man stories, so maybe it wouldn't work. I don't know. Cross your eyes so no one's looking at the drawing, and oh, so that one eye is looking at my drawing and one eye is looking at the chat. Okay. What? Oh. All right, now I'm on to Matt Smith, so much younger than everybody else. Peter Davison is also really young, but I just didn't do this very well. It's okay, but I think you'd need to know Doctor Who to know that that's Peter Davison. Not great. Lots of typos there, Mike. We don't know what you're saying, so, you know, just too many typos. I'm not even going to try to read that one. I'm just playing, but I took a glance at it and I was like, I don't get it. I don't have enough time to just pause and try to read this. There were a bunch of typos in that one. I hope you know I'm just having fun, but what's he trying to say? Is Mike having a stroke? Aliens are noobs. Oh, are these the doctors? They look pretty good. Thank you, aliens are noobs. I'll take pretty good. Jackal is a super important villain to check out too. But Jackal could be good, but you know what? I'd rather have him be sort of just Professor Miles. I don't really care for his weirdo costume, and I don't think he gains much there. I think his technology is what's dangerous, and he doesn't personally need to dress up like the Green Goblin and get involved. At least not in that kind of knockoff Green Goblin suit. That's just my 2 cents. But also keep in mind that the Clone Saga really got me out of comics for a little while because I was just like, I do not like this. And it lasted for like a little over a year. Oh, it took forever. I want to do that as a comic tropes, but it's over a year across like so many different Spider-Man titles. That was the story that would just never end. It just kept jerking you back and forth. They just kept changing their minds on how they wanted to approach it. It's a lot to cover. If I might still do it as a comic tropes, but it's going to take a lot of research. It's going to be a long-term planning one. Peter Capaldi is the handsomest doctor in my opinion, says Milos. Well, he is a very distinguished gentleman. I like Peter Capaldi quite a bit. If anything, I just wish that he'd been able to do more comedy. All right, so here goes my Peter Capaldi. Really big, crazy, angry eyebrows. I hope I did all right by you with my Peter Capaldi, Milos. Clone Saga was bad, but God, I disliked Secret Empire. Didn't read it. Didn't read it. Didn't look like my thing at all. But you know what? As I get older, it's like if there's a bad arc, I don't care because it's like it all evens out. You know, stuff gets forgotten, and I take it all with a grain of salt. I take it all with a grain of salt. Cough, live another day. I forget. What was live another day? I forget. I probably read it. I just don't remember who wrote it or what it was. I know it's a Spider-Man arc. I don't remember beyond that. The reboot where he became unmarried to save Aunt May. Oh, then I guess I already reviewed that on the show, didn't I? That was called Live Another Day? No, it was called One More Day. One More Day. I didn't know if Live Another Day was something else. I reviewed One More Day. One More Day is terrible. Just stupid. What you gonna do? I think I'm basically done. Let's see. I can't quite fit them all in the way I've done it. Let me zoom out and see if any of these came out better than others, because I think some did. Live Another Day is a Bond movie, I think. Die Another Day is a Bond movie. Or Live and Let Die. I don't think Live Another Day is anything. I don't know. Die Another Day is a terrible Bond movie. And One More Day is Spider-Man. All right, so can I fit that? Yeah, I can just about, if I angle it a little, if you forgive me for angling it a little. I just felt like drawing everybody in profile. I guess some of them I did slightly out of scale to others. I like all of them except for what I did with the Fifth Doctor. I didn't capture his likeness very well. That's on me. That's too bad. I think I'm going to thicken up Tennant's eyebrows a bit here. But that was fun. That was a lot of fun to draw with so many people. Oh, I didn't finish John Hurt's beard. What? Tell you what. Let me give me. I'm gonna keep working for just a minute here, till this is a little more to my liking, and then I'll sort of erase some of the pencil lines that might be muddying up what I've done. So if you've got questions, I'll take a look. Milo says he loves Die Another Day. Well, I said it's a bad Bond movie. I didn't say I didn't love it. I love all the Bond movies. But I will say, come on, objectively, there's some really bad stuff in there. I like Bond movies where they actually do stunts, and you can use CG to enhance that stuff. I like, people jumping from one train car to another, falling off a ledge, whatever. And Die Another Day had so much bad CG, like just Bond surfing and driving invisible cars, etc. I really like this idea, and you produced a great piece. Thanks, Mike. All right. Hey, I'm not trying to crap all over what you like, Milos. I love James Bond movies. Did not care for that one. But I'm aware that other people's mileage may vary. All right, let's erase some of these pencil lines to see if any of it can get a little cleaner. In Japan, comic book artists have assistants that will do things like erase the pencil lines, spot the black areas, throw in the tones, etc. That's a very common practice. Here in America, you know, we'll divide those jobs up. We'll have a penciler and an inker, although of course sometimes people have to do both. But it's much more common in Japan to have assistants that do all the sort of mundane work. But they are also expected to produce a lot more pages than our artists are. I think it's much more common to have to produce like maybe as many as 19 a week. In here, I think would maybe 8 or 9. So basically twice as much. But it's a completely different system. It's a completely different system. Like I say, they've got assistants. So if you don't have to fully draw backgrounds or things like that, or sometimes even the whole character, just their faces and hands, you can work a lot faster. Watch Naoki Urasawa's Manben TV show. It shows the process of every mangaka and their assistants. Yes, I have actually seen all of those, Karen, and in fact, that's very much what I would like to do with my channel. If my channel ever like really took off, I would basically like to do the American version of Manben, where I use my contacts and connections in the comic book world to film like a documentary by staying with them for a day or two and really looking at a creator's process, just how they live their day-to-day life and what they do, and asking pointed questions about their process and their technique and their style. That's what I would love to be able to do with my channel, but you know, it would need to become really popular to be able to sort of justify the expense of traveling and having good lighting equipment on the go, etc. But you know, that's my dream for the channel. How many viewers do you gain weekly? I have to admit that, like, you know, it's not super important right now because I don't have that many, so I don't pay that close attention to the metrics. I would guess I get maybe 100 or so a week, 100 new subscribers a week. Not that many. You know, in order to really take off, I think you basically need to have a day where your channel for some reason gets featured on somewhere. Maybe it's a popular news site, or maybe it's another popular YouTube channel, like a collaboration or a news thing, or maybe YouTube for some reason features you right on the front page. And I've never really had anything like that. I've done a couple collaborations, but not with, like, channels that have like 100,000 plus subscribers. So my gains are pretty modest. I do gain stuff every day and every week, but they're overall pretty modest. All right, so there we go. I tried to clean that up. Thanks, Karen. Appreciate that. Keep up what you're doing, and this channel will be pretty big. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, I've been doing it for like a year and a half now, and it keeps growing. I'm happy. I'm totally happy. I've got wonderful viewers like you guys that will show up. I mean, it's pretty late on a Friday night. I didn't really expect to have a bunch of people in the chat room, and I do. So that was great. I'm very appreciative of the viewers that I have. So yeah, so there's the Doctors. I'm a Doctor Who fan. Next time I'll try to draw something different than Doctor Who. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. This is fun. It's getting late here, and I am recording a Comic Tropes episode tonight. I did this to sort of chill out. I feel good. I feel ready to record an episode. So yeah, I am going to go set up my shooting area, change my clothes, and get that done. New episode this Sunday, and if you're a patron, there are 2 new episodes this week, and one of them is already up. So anyway, very fun talking to you. Thank you for all the new people that stopped by. I really appreciate getting to get asked questions about comics. It's like my favorite thing. You guys are all great. Keep reading comics. Bye.